good soup.
Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4, The Last of the Starks. Yeah, I mean, they've been getting picked off pretty frequently.
Them long enough.
Yeah, right. This could have been like a Season 1, Episode 10 title.
Well, I think if they're like Rance of Castamere, it's like, yeah, less of...
Oh, wow, yeah, seriously. Yeah, a lot of these episodes could have been called The Last of the Starks. When Jon finds out that he's not a Stark. One less Stark.
Yeah.
He was never a Stark.
We have won the Great War. Now we will win the last war. We'll rip her out root and stem.
And this episode begins with the funeral pyre, burning all of the dead that gave their lives during the battle for Winterfell, the Battle of Winterfell. And we talked about it last episode that I guess it's a more practical way to get rid of these bodies. It's a lot of holes.
Yeah.
You don't got Shia LaBeouf and Zero sitting in the bullpen here, so you don't want to be digging. You got the dragons. It's a sad scene, and it opens with Jorah Mormont. It starts at the bottom, pans up, and we see Jorah's face, and Daenerys embraces him, gives him one last kiss. I thought he was going to wake up. Oh, you want to do this now? And she whispers something. So I was going to give it up. I was going to give it up after the battle, but...
His name is Aegon Targaryen. It's like, what?
Uh-huh. And then it's Theon.
Yeah.
And I'm not buying this whole Sansa crying over Theon like this.
No?
Like a couple tears.
I mean, this is very reminiscent of how they embraced in episode 1. She obviously...
Except he's dead this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
But
dead on the inside.
What he did for her, I mean, he saved her from Ramsay.
Yeah,
and
he did.
That's something they both experienced, and I think it's okay for her to be upset at this. And she
Yeah.
gives her a little Stark pin.
She does. Actually, that choked me up a bit.
Yeah.
Because even till the end, he was split between Greyjoy and Stark, and like we said, he's a Starkjoy. And then Jon overlooking Lyanna, another character that did something important for him.
Yeah. It's just so funny, though, how, like, the other connections are so personal. It's like Jorah, Dany and Jorah, Sansa and Theon, and met you a couple seasons ago, and you gave me the business.
Yeah, but she also named him King in the North.
Yeah, true.
That was a big thing. Named after his
But if
mom.
it was like if we're going to compare,
Right.
it would be like Sam in that position.
Yeah.
Because
No,
Sam
yeah.
had Ed, you know. But I'm just saying.
Sam survived. So did Ghost.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I saw him in this episode. Ghost is alive.
A little scarred up.
Breaking.
I have no idea why, but
I don't
he's
know
there.
what he did.
I still don't know why he was with the Dothraki and Jorah.
You know what? If they're going to treat Ghost like they did in this episode and the previous episode, just leave him out of the show. Just say that he's...
We'll get to that. That's...
Yeah, well, Jon gives a good speech. They fought on the battlefield. Get it out, Jon. Come on. It sounds like he's crying when he gives this speech.
It's a sad day.
It's a good speech.
Everyone just
No,
died.
just talking the way he speaks. He does that a lot, Kit Harington. On
Oh.
the battlefield.
No, I thought they were going to end with...
It's like he's breaking up. It's long distance.
And now their watch has ended. They didn't do that.
No, he did give the Night's Watch line, though, right?
Yeah. We will never see their like again. or something
Yes,
along those
we'll
lines.
never see their like again. It was, obviously, they gave their lives so that humanity could continue, and he talks about how it's the brothers, the sisters, the mothers, the fathers, friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you keep people alive, that you remember them. You tell their stories, you sing their songs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I thought the speech hit me. Obviously, it's a threat that Cersei Lannister is going to try and say was made up, that it didn't even happen.
Mm-hmm.
But when she sees their forces at the end, she's like, it probably happened.
I felt like the sequence that followed maybe lasted a little bit too long, but it was kind of to see those nice like two sides of grief. One where you're sad, you're crying over their bodies, you're still like in awe of what just happened, and here you're kind of like, man, we survived. We're fucking alive. Holy shit. Let's
right.
enjoy. Let's all have sex. Like pretty much.
The Hound says to Gendry, he's like, we just burned. You can still smell
Yeah.
the burning bodies, and the one thing you're thinking about is having sex with your girlfriend. And then the Hound's like, good. You should be thinking about that.
Well, not girlfriend yet. I mean, we'll talk about that a little
Well,
later.
not anymore.
You and
I think they
Gendry both
broke
jumping the gun, huh?
Well, he said wife. I said girlfriend at least. And this was an idea that many fans had, that Gendry was the last living bastard of Robert Baratheon, so that he could be legitimized by either Cersei or Daenerys, and she does that. She legitimizes him, makes him the Lord of the Stormlands, and Tyrion says he's going to be somebody who's loyal to you for the rest of his life. So it's a smart move.
I think Jon may have got a little wind of it, but Sansa definitely knew. You're trying to play the game now, because that's a move you would make. And I thought she was going to hit Sam with the Lord Tarly, too.
She didn't. Sam's like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah, but that would have been like even more obvious, I guess. Like, oh, Because he congratulates Gendry and Jon. He's not really, I don't think he's thinking too much because he doesn't even want the throne. So it's not even, it's like, oh, cool. Gendry's a good guy. That's very awesome he did that. But Sansa's thinking it like how I think I was watching it as the audience member. Like, she did that for a reason. And
Do you think Gendry tried to pull up a chair to the big table? It's like, scoot on over, Lord of the Stormlands here. Hey, Hound, bring me an ale.
he just got real cocky with it.
That's how I would have been. Lord of the Stormlands. Would have been sewing up my sigil.
Are you a lord?
Oh, wait.
To Jon?
To Jon? Bastard. But then, yeah, the mood does lighten up where people start to celebrate their lives. I mean, you have to move on. And that's part of dealing with grief is that the people who died, the ones who loved you, they would want you to move on, to live your life. That's why they sacrificed their lives. We have a couple of nice interactions, one between Davos and Tyrion, where Davos starts to realize it's time to play the game again. That even though the long night is over, the dawn has come and things really haven't changed. Yeah. It's actually more of a mess than it's ever been.
This is what I kind of really liked about this episode and about how last episode ended. It kind of led to the story being more smaller and personal, and I think we got really back into the Game of Thrones in this episode. This is what I kind of wanted to see. It was very reminiscent of episodes in the past, and I just kept building to something that I didn't know was going to happen. And I think through these little interactions, it's that nice moment, and then I think it got more and more stakes were built with each passing interaction.
Yeah, this interaction between Tyrion and Bran.
Yeah.
I don't really want anymore. Tyrion's like, all right, dude.
Like, yeah, that's good.
He told the Maester, he's like, as soon as I say want, you come from behind and push me out. And then it's going to be a great scene. And Tyrion, in this moment, he still thinks Bran is the Lord of Winterfell.
He looked up wheelchair plans, but not long night plans.
He's like, I like that design very much. Daeron Targaryen built it for his crippled nephew or something like that. Yeah. That's what he's been doing this whole time.
It's like in the Godswood.
He's been online shopping through the past.
Could look up how Azor Ahai beat these guys?
Nope, don't need to see that. Yeah, and there were a couple of, Tyrion celebrating with Jaime, Brienne, and Podrick, playing the game from season 1, the game of to see if you're lying or not, then you have to drink.
Is that the only game he knows how to play?
I think so, yeah. He probably told the joke about the jackass and the honeycomb. Oh. Is that what it is? Right before that scene.
We'll never get to hear the punchline to that one. Huh?
Bran knows. Bran knows all Tyrion's jokes. That's why they don't hang out much. Doesn't find him that funny. And there was also a nice reunion here between Sansa and the Hound, obviously catering to the fans that are big fans of the Sansan. The Sansan ship.
Yeah, and the Hound, he calls her Little Bird, like he did back in season 2, and Sansa tells him if all these bad things didn't happen to her and she wasn't introduced to the people she had been introduced to, she wouldn't be the person she is today. She would still be that little bird.
Still don't like that line about Ramsay being included in that. That if I didn't meet Littlefinger and Ramsay, could have stopped with Littlefinger.
It could have been.
But we've been we talk about this all the time, that they didn't need the Ramsay thing, but it's part of her story in the show. It's part of what made her. So
I think it's more.
The Hound notices the change.
Yeah. I think you could have maybe put, like, because who she's been around, like Cersei, she's learned from Littlefinger, and all of her experiences, all the hardships she's been through has made her the person she is today. So,
And the Hound was trying to intimidate her, like he always does. He was pressing her, saying, that's not really a great way to
no, that was a little
that topic.
Off-putting, yeah.
But then she says, I killed him with hounds.
Yeah.
And he's like, my girl.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it now.
I'm a hound.
Yeah.
It was a reunion that people were expecting because they did have that relationship in season 2 where
it gets a little overshadowed by the Arya and the Hound stuff.
It does, yes.
The Hound and Sansa, especially in the books,
because he's younger. Mm-hmm. He's obviously got the burnt face, but it would make more sense as they both got older together that there could be a potential romance between them. Not in the show. I thought not acknowledging that. They still had that relationship, so a reunion makes sense. But this was the best part of this whole sequence. It's when Tormund starts talking up Jon. And right away, you know that Daenerys is going to get jealous, and the music changes, and she starts fuming on the inside.
Yeah.
But even before that, Tormund toasts to Daenerys. He says to the Dragon Queen, and she reciprocates by toasting to Arya, to the hero of the Battle of Winterfell. But this moment where Jon is being built up, what they've said previously in the show and what they say later in the episode is that people just gravitate to him because he has achieved these monumental feats. He is a natural leader that people are going to want to follow him.
What we were talking about in the preview for this episode last week was that when they were cheering, we figured they viewed Daenerys as she fought for us. Without Daenerys, we all would have been dead. Let's embrace her as our queen. But you see Jon getting more of the accolade, and that's something they touch upon numerous times during this episode. Is Jon, if people were to know he is a Targaryen, he is a male heir, and just the way this Westerosi society is, they lean towards the male, I guess, figurehead.
Right, but she also brings up later that it's because he's a Northman.
Well, yeah,
a lot of that has to do with it. That
but,
I got those looks before in Essos.
I know, but when you bring it to Westeros, she hasn't gotten those here.
That helps.
She won't be embraced as a Northerner because she's not a Northerner, and you can apply that same logic to, I guess, Westeros as a whole when comparing a male heir Targaryen to a female heir Targaryen. Because they were calling him king. Tormund said, who goes up on a dragon? A king does. Well, no, a queen does, because Daenerys did.
I did it first.
Yeah. So you could just see how, she's not mad at Jon, but she's obviously, gets her thinking.
Yeah, and there are a couple of moments, romantic moments between characters. First, we have this one between Aria and Gendry, and just an absolute denial. What did he think was going to happen here?
I mean,
I do love that how Arya's always missing. That when they're celebrating, when the king arrives, she's always off doing something else. Where's Arya? It's from the very first episode. She's just always doing her own thing. And Gendry finds her and she's shooting arrows, just like in season 1, episode 1. And he asks her to marry him. And she says, that ain't me.
Like she told Ned in season 1. That's not her. That was never her character. And
I feel bad for Gendry because he clearly is just so in love with her.
Caught feelings hard, man.
Yeah, he felt really hard. So did the Night King, but hey, that's what Arya does to you. Don't fall too hard there.
I didn't expect her to accept and, them live in the Stormlands, have a happy ending. This is Arya's character. She still has a plan to finish. Still has that list. And we see later in the episode, she means to fulfill it.
Yeah, I think it's more of like a fortune cookie at this point. It's not really a list. It's just Cersei Lannister on one scroll. And another romantic scene in this opening sequence between Jaime and Brienne. But before that, it's when Tyrion asks Brienne, well, he tells her, you're a virgin. And Jaime's like, that's not a question.
It's like, what are you trying to do? I don't know if he was trying to help his brother out or she's just being a dick.
I think he was just absolutely wasted.
Yeah.
And Brienne obviously becomes very shy and a bit bashful in this moment because it's something that she was always teased her entire life, the entire series, for looking like a man. So when somebody views her as a woman, it feels good, but at the very beginning, when it first happens, you're almost thrown off and you would become embarrassed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads Jaime to go after her. Poor Tormund again. Another character getting his heart broken.
He got over it quick.
He did get over it real quick.
It's so funny, too, in the Sansa Hound scene, after the Hound scares that other girl away. Podrick's in the background, and he's
got 2 of them.
2 of them.
I see you, Pod.
Yeah.
It's enough Pod to go around.
Yeah, Jaime and Brienne obviously have that moment, and...
Spoiled for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody called it oath sex. They're like Jon and Daenerys had boat sex. They're having oath sex. It's very honorable. It's an honorable duo.
This is a moment I think it was a lot of...
fan service. This was, I think, one of the most fan servicey moments in the show. It's something that I never thought in a million years
I've always
would
thought
happen.
it was going to go kind of the way of it's always on the table, they see, but they just never actually do it.
Yeah, it's like Sam and Diane and Cheers.
No, it's how I thought Gendry and Arya was going to happen. I thought it was always going to be they have that connection, obviously. But, I mean, just going back, everyone that survived this event, everyone is just kind of living life in this moment. I mean, what's the difference between fan service and something that was always going to happen, maybe, but it just became too obvious?
There are moments of fan service that it's hard to get into that debate right
Yeah,
now,
I'm just saying, maybe just I don't know. Maybe
it's fan service because they always subtly hinted at a romantic connection between them, but
I mean, in the books, he does get stirred up when they are together. But also in the books, she's pretty messed up right now after the biter got at her.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something.
Well, their book ending is going to be a lot different than what they end up doing in the show.
Yes.
It's way more complex, and there's characters that they left out, so they couldn't even do that in the show if they wanted to. I think that's why it becomes fan servicey, because there is that connection that they have in the book. In the show, they just leaned into it more, and I don't hate it. I think it is what it is. I don't necessarily love it either. I always love their relationship as more of having that flirtatious back and forth, and they kind of go into that more here when he arrives at her room with the wine and complains about the heat. Good move.
Yeah.
It's hot in here. You hot?
No, I don't hate it either.
Hot in here.
It's kind of nice to see, I guess, Jaime finally actually breaking away from Cersei, and we'll talk about the scene later on. I don't think it's as, as it was laid out. there's more to why Jaime left than
It's the second woman he slept with, right?
yeah. But I'm just saying in that moment, it's kind of
Yeah.
him seeing him break away from Cersei, and then Brienne finally being loved for who she is. Like, I mean, obviously, Renly didn't work out because he died.
That always, yeah,
Well,
that puts a pin in that.
And for Brienne too, it's nice. Obviously, she was in love with Renly. That didn't really go her way, and that kind of shifted over to Jaime. And it was always like they had that nice back and forth. But I never really thought we would ever see it. But don't hate it.
I like the line. He's like, I never slept with a knight before. And Jon and Daenerys, it's a scene where they have their first time alone after the great battle, after the news that Jon delivered to Daenerys, and she remembers Jorah Mormont in this scene, saying that he loved me, but I could never love him the way that he wanted me to, not the way that I love you. And they're still very much in love. And I think Daenerys kind of hoped that Jon would just never bring up again that he's a Targaryen. She's like, listen, once I start kissing him, once we get in the mood, the fire's roasting, that's not coming up again. That's old news.
I kind of forgot about it for a second. I'm like, oh, wait. When Jon stopped, I'm like, oh, why is he? Oh, okay. Yeah,
he can't get it up.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. He's a Targaryen.
Yeah.
That makes things awkward.
No, a little bit.
This was a great scene.
Yeah, I think this is the first scene where the character moments really ramped up. Because obviously we had, Jaime and Brienne, but this is more serious to what the ending of the show was going to be. Because I think it's that first step of actually them discussing Jon's heritage and that kind of being maybe a catalyst for a ton of events that are happening in these last couple of episodes.
Yeah, and I love the line where she says, I've never begged for anything in my life, but I'm begging you now because I love you. I know what this does. When people know that you have this name, the Targaryen name, they're going to rally around you, and it's just going to make things so much more complex than they actually have to be. I keep thinking in the back of my mind, and they say that Daenerys doesn't necessarily want to share the throne, but if they got married and Jon said, you can have all the power, I'll just sit in the back. I won't even be in the Red Keep when you're meeting with your subjects and making decisions. You can sit on the throne. It would make things much easier, but even if they did get married, people are going to point to Jon and say that's the power because he is a man, because he has that Targaryen name, and his claim is a bit stronger. And we see what happened in this episode with her armies, and the power backing her has been depleted. So Daenerys is, in this moment, just saying, keep it to yourself. And Jon feels like he owes it to his family to tell them the truth. I don't know if he necessarily owes it to him, but it's almost the weight off of your own shoulders, because your whole life you've been living a lie. At some point, you want to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Once you know that your life has been a lie, you want to open up the truth to the people that you love and trust. And they swore that they would never tell anybody, so.
Yeah. Interesting, too, when she says, I never begged him for anything like this. It's a nice little call to Viserys. They used to call him the Beggar King in the old free cities.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, it's...
Jon's saying that things aren't going to change.
Yeah, but it's
You'll
just,
always be my queen.
In her position, too, it's just, like we always say, that's her identity, right? Being the queen. She viewed herself, even later in the episodes, as defeating tyrants or something like along those lines. But I think it would just be easier for her if Jon just kept it a secret. But like you said, it's Jon's nature. He's not going to, I guess, put aside his honor no matter what the stakes are.
And he says that it's not going to change. You'll always be my queen. And Daenerys...
It's easy, yeah.
He says that they can make this work. And Daenerys says, I agree. Doing what I just told you to do is how we make it work. She switches from begging to commanding.
Yeah.
I am your queen. This is what you're going to do. And then it switches to the War Council, where Daenerys pledged to fight with the North. So the North has to honor that pledge and fight with her, and Sansa is still reluctant. After everything that you just saw, it makes Daenerys angry, saying, I just risked everything for you guys, and I really didn't have a choice after what I saw, but now it's time to pay that back. A little reciprocity here, come on.
Do you think Sansa really cares that the troops need to,
No.
or she was just,
The troops are in the back like, we're fine, we're ready to go. Shut it. No, she just doesn't trust her.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is... At this point, why?
No, I think everything we've seen, I think it just, I guess, goes back to what she said about Jon and how she's manipulating Jon. As far as what Sansa's seen, Daenerys has been very willing to reach out and get to know Sansa and try to make this work. But it's just, like Sansa said, like Sansa said before, like she views the North as an independent kingdom. We fought to keep the North, and she's threatening that. And Jon sides with Daenerys, I guess, creating another little rift between the family. And I guess this is what made Jon actually come out and tell them, because I know from Sansa and Arya's perspective, Arya even stops Jon from walking out. Jon looks like he's taking Daenerys aside over his own family, John's, I guess, trying to be a little more practical. Like, he's viewing it very surface level. She helped us. We helped her. We help her. What's the big deal? But
Well, he's also trying to appease her after that whole moment that they shared previously.
Yeah.
Saying that things won't change. You're still the queen.
it's a little, I guess, over like, hey, look, I told you, right? But it's creating something, I guess.
He did look at her like that.
Yeah, but it's creating something that he's not really looking out for, or he's not really privy to.
Yeah, exactly. And Jon Snow is not great at dealing with human relations. So he sees it very black and white.
Yeah.
If I say that we're going to listen to Daenerys' commands, that's final. But Arya does. And they go over Cersei that she's going to stir up some propaganda that the Northern threat was never real, that they just made it up. It was all nonsense. And they game plan that Daenerys' army and the Unsullied are going to land on Dragonstone. And Jon will meet them on the King's Road with the Northern Army, and that they're essentially going to siege the city. That was the initial plan in Season 7.
I
And
think they implied that half the army was gone, right?
yes, half the army. That they still have some Dothraki, some Unsullied.
Thanos and Night King love the half.
But then Arya stops Jon before he can leave the room and says that we need to talk. And it's once again, it's them distrusting. We haven't heard this from Arya before. Arya hasn't spoken up against Daenerys, but in this scene, she says that we just don't trust her. And we are the last surviving Starks, and this is what pushes Jon to make the decision to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Bran actually tells them.
I love just watching Bran in the back.
He's such a dick. He's online shopping again doing this.
Yeah, and they cut. I kind of would have liked to see how they reacted too, but I kind of like the cut implied.
Right, yeah, we know what happened. But they try to say we are the last surviving Starks, and Jon once again brings out that line, I'm not a Stark. And they tell him, I always love this, when there's a moment in Season 7 when Cersei calls Jon the Stark boy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's like if the Stark boy wants to follow his dragon queen. I'm like, he's a Stark. And, we're the last surviving Starks. It's up to us to defend the name, to defend the North.
Theon's a Stark, you're a Stark, Jon.
Everybody's a fucking Stark. It's Oprah out here.
I was going to say that there when I said I thought Sam was going to get Hornhill. I thought Daenerys was going to be Oprah and give everyone lordships.
Give everybody lordships.
Well, I guess we know who's getting, Riverrun or
Highgarden.
Highgarden.
I'll tell
whoever
you what.
wins.
I love this scene.
Really?
I thought it was so funny because Bronn has just he's done with their shit. He's so done with the Westerosi politics.
Yeah.
He's like, just give me my fucking castle. All I do is ride north and south, and I fight this war, fight this battle, I'm fighting dragons, fighting Unsullied. When does it stop? Dothraki.
This episode was funnier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, it was, but it was natural humor in
Yeah.
this scene because when he's talking about how Jaime says a cutthroat can never rule Highgarden, he's like, give me a break, dude. I thought he was going to drop Land the Clever.
Yeah, me
He's
too.
like, your ancestor Land the Clever was a cutthroat. That's what the game is, dude.
Yeah.
All the lords of Westeros are cutthroats. It's all who can backstab and kill the most people. That's what he says. You kill a couple hundred, you become a lord. Kill a couple thousand, you become a king.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Highgarden, that's a lot, though. He's asking.
that's big time. Yeah, you become the second most, probably like the third most powerful lord in the country.
Do you think if Jaime continued to call his bluff, he would have killed him?
Oh, yeah. Well, I said this, too, that I thought Bronn, without question, would kill Jaime and Tyrion.
Really?
Yes, and he was prepared. He says he obviously had the 2 arrows, so he wasted one. And he's like, I only need one of you alive, so I'll kill Jaime. He really needed Tyrion, because Tyrion's the one who has Daenerys' ear. And like he said, he's a betting man. I'm going to bet on the side who I still think is going to win with the 2 dragons. Maybe that's not such a great bet looking back.
But I think in his own way, I feel like that at first it was coming off very, not out of character, because I guess that's always who he's been, but it's always been, I'll double it. And he's like, but you knew they were buddies. You knew
I don't know, man.
At the end of the day,
at this point,
even when
he's pissed.
Even when he wanted to, I get that too. But even when he wanted to fight the Mountain, it was more like he was upset.
Yeah, because he thought Tyrion was going to die. But
yeah, but no, he thought he was gonna die.
No, yeah, he thought he would die, but
And he thought Tyrion would die too.
So you think Bronn loves Tyrion? You think Bronn loves Tyrion? You think Cersei loves her kids?
I like to think so, but
you're such a sucker for these cold-hearted people.
I do think though, at the end, it was kind of like.
So you think if Tyrion said no, you can't have Highgarden, he wouldn't have killed him?
I don't think I don't think he would have killed him.
You're crazy.
I honestly don't. I think it's even at the end when he got what he wanted, it's like
he wasn't like that. He wasn't like buddies, let's get a drink.
Know,
he stormed out.
He kind of walked out.
He was pissed.
He gave that look back, and it's kind of like who else but Bronn? And I could see them hanging out later on.
Yeah, once he's Lord of Highgarden.
Yeah. I don't know. That's how I want to see it in my headcanon. Because I just thought.
Talk about fan service.
Well, no, because I thought how Cersei, it was a dumb idea for her to entrust Bronn and to do that. And I think kind of a way to.
It was dumb because she didn't know that he would betray her.
But yeah.
I'm the losing side. and potentially the losing side.
Yeah. And
why am I going to trust the cutthroat?
But I think it would have been dumber, too, if you just kind of walked in and it was like, hey, Cersei gave me a bunch of gold. This is what happened. I'm with you guys. They had to make it something.
Yeah, but they offer him the role in the army, and he's like, no. He's like, I'll find you when the war is done. Don't die. You're like, Jaime was like flabbergasted by the notion of
yeah.
What? Riverrun, maybe. Highgarden? What are you, nuts? Can't be the Lord of Highgarden. Well, talking about Cersei and people betraying her, we think that Jaime is still going to be the one who kills Cersei. But Arya is going south, and she's still got Cersei on her list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said that you would be upset if Arya is the one to kill Cersei. I don't think she will kill Cersei. You can't give her the Night King and Cersei. That's too many bodies.
Like, if it is Arya, it depends how they do it. I mean, obviously, I think it would make more sense to be Jaime, but it just depends how they would do it. So I still don't think it won't be her, but it's kind of nice seeing them back on the road together.
Her and the Hound?
Him going for
Hell
the mountain,
yeah.
her going for Cersei.
It's like, I saw a meme, it was Mean Girls. It's like, get in, loser, we're going to kill my brother and Cersei. We're definitely going to get the Clegane Bowl. These are characters that they're just wanderers, man. They can't sit still. There's always a next mission. There's always something else to do. That's my favorite pairing of any two characters that the show has ever done. So yeah, to see them back together on the road, ooh, half a mind to go with you.
There's a thought I had last week, too. It's like, what if Arya goes to kill Cersei and the mountain gets her first?
Yeah.
And the Hound's just like...
Maybe.
And the Hound versus the mountain. I don't think you need more... I mean, that would be more immediate weight. I think historically there's enough weight there for that to be... And a lot of anticipation for that to be a proper last battle for the Hound, possibly. But if you add that in right before that, it intensifies so much. I don't think it'll happen, but that would just be an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, another interesting wrinkle is the relationship between Tyrion and Sansa, and they built up some sort of trust in the previous episode in the crypts, but here, Tyrion notices right away when he goes to talk to her, where he's trying to say, why don't you just trust in Daenerys? What's your problem? And she's like, my brother's a Targaryen, that's my problem. But he notices right away that there's something off.
Yeah.
And Sansa, somebody wrote on Twitter that Sansa just opened up a group chat as soon as Jon told her. You knew right away in the Godswood that Sansa was going to be the one to tell somebody.
Yeah, well, they didn't swear on the old gods and the new, so it's kind of like she just sweared.
She had her fingers crossed.
It's like, I swear, and in her head, it's like, I swear on...
I swear to Rolar.
Yes. Made something up.
But it's an interesting point, and it's sowing the seeds once again of that betrayal from Tyrion and even Varys later in the episode, where they're openly discussing treason, that she tells Tyrion that there might be a better choice. And Tyrion, it makes sense why he does believe in Daenerys, and I think that there hasn't been enough setup for Daenerys to go Mad Queen, and they definitely hinted at it at the end of this episode, but people act like she's so much worse than she actually is. I mean, what has Sansa seen her do? Oh, no, my dragons are very hungry.
Yeah.
And Sansa just, that was the last straw for her.
I think, too...
She just saved the North.
Well, from an audience perspective, we've seen Daenerys. We've been with her for so long, so obviously we're going to see moments where she's not always at her best as far as what decisions she makes, or
she killed slave owners.
Yeah, or her rationale for killing. No, I agree with you, but I'm saying her rationale for killing, Rickon and Randall, Dickon and Randall, people pointing to that, where she just makes decisions, in the moment. And sometimes she doesn't always guess. You could point to that, but I don't think anything that she did negates the fact that she's a decent person and she wouldn't do anything to put people, innocents, in harm's way. Even though if she does kind of...
She makes mistakes and she is impulsive. But
it does seem like, especially when later on Dragonstone, like she's angry, she doesn't care. And I feel like in that moment, I guess anyone could kind of feel that way because she does consider the dragons her children. But
yes.
With time to think about it, I don't think she would actually do that. So I think it'll be more complex than that. I don't think it's just going to be her just absolutely snapping and just killing innocent people when her whole thing was breaker of trains. She wants to help people.
Exactly. That's the clear difference between Jon and Daenerys, is that, yes, sometimes Daenerys can come off as very arrogant and entitled, but she is also actively trying to change the world. Jon, we always see it, that he's resistant. He's reluctant to take power. So even though Jon would be a great ruler, and I said on one of the podcasts, I think Jon or Sansa would be the best ruler, Daenerys is actively trying to change the world in which she was born into. She's an idealist. She's trying to set in place a new frame, a new structure of power, so that future generations can live in a world that isn't exposed to all this carnage. That's the difference. And when you are trying to change the world, you're going to make mistakes, dude. You're going to make decisions that you have to live with, that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. I'm sure she regrets killing Dickon and Randall Tarley after she saw the reaction from Sam. But that's her character. She is, I think that's why Tyrion believes in her. You never hear that from Jon. Jon never says he's trying to make a difference. And I'm not saying that's a flaw in his character.
Well, I mean,
when you have to choose between Jon and Daenerys, it depends on what you believe in.
I think a bigger flaw in Jon's character is his way he treats Ghost. Because
I've never felt more sad watching this show.
It's like he didn't even fucking.
You know what this reminded me of? When Arya had to throw the rock at Nymeria?
No, that I got that. I'm like, yes.
But I'm saying how I felt so sad.
Yeah.
Because it was like, Nymeria doesn't know that Arya still loves her.
Mm-hmm.
But Ghost, you could have went up and scratched his ear.
Come here, boy.
Even that scene pissed me off. When he reunites with Ghost in season 4, and he's just like, come here, and he gently taps him on the side. He doesn't belong in the South. Yeah, probably not, honestly. It's probably for the best. We don't have the budget. Take him north.
Yeah, I get that. Like, oh, if I'm going to be in King's Landing, presumably I'm going to be like, you can't have a direwolf running around.
But hug him.
Yeah, have a good goodbye. Be like.
And he gave the little,
And, you know,
Ghost cried.
They're not wargs in the show, but I'm sure they had like a little bit of connection where he can sense what he's doing is the right thing and give him to Sam and not Tormund.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, I actually kind of like that, Tormund and Ghost.
That's a good spinoff.
Yeah, hell yeah. Tormund and Ghost just running around in the north, getting into wacky adventures.
But the direwolves don't have that connection to the Starks as they do in the books, and I guess that's something.
It's still a terrible goodbye.
I know, but that's something like we've expected so much more from the direwolves, and the show was kind of like, It's
such a dad who can't tell his kid that he loves him.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you stupid animal. Broke my heart. But he hugs Gilly. Apparently he loves Gilly more than Ghost.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's a weird development. Sam got her pregnant? Damn, Sam. He's trying to break down the biology of how that worked. Stuck her with the pointy end. Seeing a goodbye between Sam and Jon, that was sad as well, when Sam says that you're the best friend that I've ever had. And it goes back to the first time they met in season 1, that Jon stood up for this person who clearly wasn't fit to fight, but he always sees the potential in people. That, okay, maybe he can't swing a sword, but maybe he can do something else. Maybe he has some other skill that will be useful. And Sam's been one of the most useful characters in the show. One of Jon's most important allies.
Basically his brother, ever since he left to go fight for Robb and Sam stopped him.
And the goodbye between him and Tormund as well, where Tormund says, you've got the North in you, boy. The real North. And his experiences in Season 2, Season 3, Season 4 with the Wildlings really shaped Jon Snow's character. It led him to make the decision to bridge the gap between the North, the real North, and the South. So Tormund and the relationship that they've developed over these past couple of seasons.
A couple more short jokes this episode.
That's kind of cheap.
I mean,
a lot of cock jokes, a lot of short jokes. You think that George, that's what they're getting from the outline? Yeah, so in this moment, there's another short joke and a cock joke.
Well, Tyrion made a tall joke.
He did, yeah. Now they make, maybe they'll. Things are looking up. Yeah, it's that scene between where Tyrion and Jaime are talking about Brienne, right? That was the cute scene.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
When Bronn comes in, it's like, oh, I knew you were fucking.
Right. Well, the question that he asked her, that he asks Jaime too, it's like, what's she like down there? Why would you say that?
If you think about it, I mean, this is Tyrion's first chance to ask about one of Jaime's sexual encounters without it being about his sister. So it's like, hey.
That is true.
Yeah.
Give me all the details, because I never wanted to hear them before.
Yeah.
And he says, you had to climb her. To climb in mountains.
Tyrion kills the mountain, confirmed.
Well, I mean, Tyrion might get himself killed if him and Varys keep yapping like this.
I love this scene, man.
This was a great scene. Them openly discussing. Obviously, Sansa told Tyrion. Mm-hmm. Varys says it's not a secret anymore. It's information. If 5 people know, then hundreds will know by tomorrow. Varys knows that information is more valuable than the contents of a man's purse. And it's got him thinking already, that Jon Snow, not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
And we get more into their conversation a little bit later, but this is kind of like the building blocks off of that when they're just like, oh, wow. I mean, probably took something that actually took Varys by surprise, I would assume.
Yes.
It's like he's so privy on every information that's going on. And him knowing there's another out there, which we talked about this numerous times, his motivations don't really make sense if you look back on it, because I feel like in the first couple seasons, they were leaning more towards his book motivations, and then they changed them into what's best for the realm.
It would make sense for Varys to end the show as an antagonist towards Daenerys, or on opposite sides of Daenerys, because like you said, his motivations are completely different. If he's sides with Jon, in a way, it might be more in line with how his character arc ends in the book.
Yes, different ways to get to the same spot.
Yes, because I think he's going to meet his end by the hand of Daenerys in the book anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be burned alive, book and show. But yeah, it was a really good scene between Tyrion and Varys. We don't get much of them anymore. We've got a great Tyrion and Varys scene in a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
But the ambush, they're arriving at Dragonstone. Everything's going great. The music's swelling up. The dragons are like, yeah, we're back home. Whoopsh!
Dude, that was fucking out of nowhere.
In the heart.
I don't even know where they were. It
Heart.
looked like they were in like in between like a couple mountains, and I guess there was like I don't even know where they were. Who cares? But I think the main point is,
who cares about the logistics? They curved it. David Beckham. You see the Messi shot against Liverpool the other day?
Yeah.
That's what he did. It's a great free kick.
Well, you don't really know how they got it because of the way the camera was. But
we
anyway,
don't know anything.
Well, I was fucking shocked. I didn't know. I'm like, what the heck?
Came out of nowhere, just 3-pieced him.
Got him right in the fucking heart, and then he got him by the wing area, it looked like, and then right through the fucking neck.
The neck. All right, we have to address this. Those things shouldn't be able to kill dragons if they're fully grown. I think that was established in the book, so you can't penetrate dragon scales. Fire can't kill a dragon, and you can't pierce them. That Meraxes was Rhaenys' dragon. That her dragon was killed because it got bolted in the eye. That was like a one in a million shot. The dragons just die because they get old.
Well,
so
I don't think they're like Smog, where you have to like chip the scale and like get it right there.
I thought that's how they were, honestly.
No, I mean it's.
And listen, it was a shocking moment.
I feel like what's established in the show, Drogon got.
Yeah, but that was like a flea bite.
Yeah, he dropped him, but he didn't get hit in the necks.
I guess the necks are. They need to get those neck exercises, like in Creed 2.
I'm more focusing on that. They fucking killed Rhaegal rather than the
Rhaegal,
logistics of how he died.
Yeah, but the fact that it was Euron too. I wish it was Qyburn behind the scorpion or Cersei. But what they're setting up for next episode, it would have been cool. I guess it evens the odds a bit.
It's a catalyst for Daenerys having these thoughts about taking King's Landing with fire and blood.
I thought Tyrion was going to die when he was walking around the ship. We got a Tyrion tracking shot in this episode.
It's scary when they turned him onto the ships.
Hell yeah, that's terrifying.
I wonder how they got wind. I guess it's not too hard to figure out. They're going back to Dragonstone.
No, they probably have been set up there for a long time. Once they got the news, I'm sure the news of them winning the Great War. Yeah, and they all swim to the beach. Varys is out of breath, Tyrion's out of breath, and Grey Worm's looking around, and he's looking for Missandei. And we learned that Missandei was captured by Cersei, by Euron and his fleet. And it's the first time we see Cersei in this episode, when she's overlooking all the people arriving in King's Landing, that she's opening the gates to all the people. Come one, come all. Cersei Lannister will protect you.
People come in. That's Cersei. I didn't really like her at first. This is really nice of her.
You know what? She's starting to, I can support her in 2020. I'll support the re-election campaign.
Now, look at this. King's Landing. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Me in the big city. And Euron is just such a fucking sycophant. He sucks, man.
He's annoying.
Whatever he does, even him sitting behind the scorpion, he looks so goofy. I'm like, the fact that you killed Rhaegal pisses me off.
Yeah.
But I guess it's little Dragonbinder, in a way.
Maybe.
If he's going to take control of one of them. R.I.P. Rhaegal, too, man.
Yeah.
That made me sad. They're like big dogs.
Jon lost 2 pets in one day.
Damn, he did.
Yeah.
He deaded both of them, too. He's like, I can't ride Rhaegal. It's going to weigh him down. It's like, yeah, I'm sure.
Good thing he didn't.
And Cersei says to Euron that the lion will rule the lands, the kraken will rule the seas, and one day our child will rule them all. So at this point, I think she is actually starting to get into Euron. It's like, hey, he killed a dragon. It's pretty attractive.
Her face looks like she hates saying it. She has something planned for Euron.
I hope she does.
No.
She's the best.
By making Jaime's baby his, kind of makes him kind of fall in line a little. Because you never know. Euron's a fucking psychopath, too. So that's, I guess, if you keep him happy, let him know he has a son, then that kind of can keep him at base in her eyes or something like that. I know she doesn't care, because in season 7, she was with Jaime willingly. Like, she let her handmaiden come in and see them together. But I guess to everyone else outside of Westeros, like, in the episode, someone says about how Aunt with their nephew is viewed in the North, as opposed to how Targaryens are viewed. And you can apply that too, a brother and sister, to the rest of the lords of Westeros, where it's easier for her to say, yeah, this is Euron's son, not Jaime's.
That final line, too, when she walks out and we see Missandei, it's like, so much for the breaker of chains.
So much for the breaker of chains.
And in Season 7, Daenerys tells Varys that if Varys ever feels that she is failing the people that he represents, look me in the eye and tell me. And Varys does that, and Daenerys is like, duly noted. How are we going to destroy the city again? She's pissed, man.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, too, the point I wanted to make. They keep stressing this. If we want to build a better world, then we shouldn't kill thousands of innocent people. Maybe you start off by killing the thousands of innocent people and then you change the world. Because it looks like it's taken a long time, man. Like, they could have sped up this whole process. Sacrifices must be made.
You're a monster.
I'm not a monster, but eventually...
We were just talking about that nice couple coming into a big city for the first time. Now you want them to die?
I want their kids to live a
developed them
better
to the
life.
point where it's going to hurt.
We name them.
Yeah.
We name them.
I mean...
Okay, but they've spent all this time trying to wage war honorably. What if we did that during World War II? You gotta burn the grass so you can grow new grass. That's what Sun Tzu said. You ever read The Art of War?
No.
Sun Tzu said that. You gotta burn the grass, you grow new grass. It's greener that way.
Is he still alive?
No.
Eh.
He's not immortal.
Well, he was that smart. He might have been. I mean, the whole... You don't want to. This makes you a bet. Like, you can't live up to what your father was. You denounced that your whole life, and now you're just going to do the same thing and just kill innocent people because you want a throne. And it's what Jaime made a sacrifice the same way. He killed the Mad King. He saved the people of King's Landing. There's too much that goes into Daenerys' character for her to just turn her back on the innocent and just burn them alive. Just because they're stuck in the middle of her and Cersei's war.
Okay, but who was a better ruler, Robert Baratheon or the Mad King? They still sacked King's Landing.
They
killed
both
innocent.
sucked.
Yeah, but the people of Westeros were safer when Robert Baratheon was the king.
Yes.
It was a better reign. So he still sacked King's Landing.
They
can understand the principle.
There's a difference between sacking, having opening the gates for Tywin and him coming in and sacking and probably killing mostly soldiers and important men to Aerys' army, than locking them into a fucking gated city and burning them alive.
Makes it easier.
Well, that's Cersei's kind of like banking that she doesn't.
No, yeah, she's calling her bluff.
Yeah.
This scene between Tyrion and Varys reminded me of Chaos is a Ladder.
The best scene in the episode, right?
I think it was, yeah. It was great. Yeah, Varys is going to betray her. Somehow.
Think Tyrion will? It's a little bit of doubt in his mind. I mean, he was making great points, but...
He says he's thought about it, but thoughts are not treason.
Yeah.
It's actions.
I mean, the back and forth was great. They both was kind of like what we were just saying, like... Varys is saying he fights for the realm and the people. And Daenerys, if her, I guess, worst impulses get the best of her, then she puts that in jeopardy. Tyrion always thought he can check her impulses, but it's not looking like he might have the capability of doing it at this point. So it's a good back and forth. Tyrion obviously understands where Varys is coming from, but he still believes there's something in Daenerys that I think we've seen throughout the series where she wouldn't go to that level.
Yeah, I think that's why I like this episode so much, is because things are getting really interesting between these four characters, Varys, Tyrion, Jon, and Daenerys, how this all settles. And as for the end of Cersei, we still think it's going to be Jaime. And this scene, I think, because it makes the audience think in this moment that Jaime is reverting back to his old ways.
No, I've seen that like a couple on Twitter. People are like, oh, they destroyed Jaime's arc.
First of all, it's not an arc. It's just who he is.
Well, I'm just saying that's...
No, but I'm saying when people say that, oh, they destroyed his arc because he might do a bad thing.
Well, he's always been...
Yes, he's always been a gray character. He's a Machiavellian prince in a way.
How we were talking about with Nymeria and Arya is kind of like that kind of scene where he was just choosing to, I guess...
Throw a rock at Brienne's face.
But with
a verbal
words.
rock?
Yeah, verbal rock at
Brienne's
verbal rock
face. Hurts more.
Yeah. Just to be like, so she...
I think he almost knows that this might end with him dying as well.
You know, I'm not a good person. You don't have to, like, don't blame yourself. Like, I'm not a good person. This is not who I am. And kind of just trying to help her by being a dick, I guess. It's a weird way to go about it, but I think if...
It's like what Tyrion did to Shay. The Lannister men love doing that.
Yeah.
Because he thinks maybe in this moment, if he told her the truth,
Yeah.
he would be convinced to stay.
Yeah.
That she would say, you don't have to do that. It's not your responsibility to kill your maniac sister, but he obviously feels that it is, that he has unfinished business. It's one of those, I have to kill Cersei because I know her better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he can find a way, like we said, that maybe there's a part of Cersei that still loves him and that will allow him through the gates for that one-on-one conversation. And that's when it happens. That's when he can kill her.
Well, it's like, yeah, Jaime, we said, he killed the Mad King to save innocence, and that's something that people use to put him down because they don't know the full story. And when he hears that, one of the dragons is dead, and he sees the writing on the wall. So
he knows what she might do.
Just fucking the tensions right now at King's Landing between Daenerys and Cersei are, like, as we see in the next scene, it's out of control and I think Jaime knows that can burst, and a lot of innocent people can get caught in the middle. So if he can go to King's Landing and kill Cersei, then he can again save King's Landing.
What did you think about this final scene? Confrontation. Peace talks.
Yeah, it was a little tense. I mean, I didn't know what was really going to happen. I think she came out. It was kind of a peace meeting set up because she didn't bring the largest force, and Drogon was there. I was half expecting Cersei just to fucking unleash and kill everybody, which maybe she should have done. I guess maybe she has some honor. If you think about it, like...
Well, she didn't even give Daenerys a chance to surrender when she killed Missandei. Yeah. I mean, just jumping to the very end. She just heard that speech from Tyrion. Tyrion's like, "You're not a bad person." And Cersei's like, "I cannot stand to hear that."
Oh, he's trying to appeal to my inner humanity.
Oh, little bro. The beginning conversation between Tyrion and Qyburn, the two emissaries here.
For some reason, I really liked when they were just walking out to meet each other.
Yeah.
Like, Tyrion and Qyburn, two hands.
They should have did that embrace where it's like, Qyburn, Tyrion. Never met each other, though. Yeah, just two hands chopping it up. Yeah. And Tyrion quickly learns that Qyburn is just the ultimate sycophant. He has nothing to say, but it's kind of just useless at this point. So he just walks up to the battlements, and yeah, it was a tense moment because there were a couple times in this episode where I thought Tyrion might lose his life. I thought she might fire on him here.
It's weird too when he says like you've always loved your children, and he was talking about her unborn child. I thought Euron was gonna be like, wait a minute, how does he know? She just told me.
Well, he's probably thinking that Tyrion is assuming that they're going to have a child. That your potential child, Euron doesn't seem too bright anyway. So
I think it could raise some conversation. It could just be like, oh, Varys,
you would think so.
Varys knows something. If 8 people know, everyone knows, as Varys said earlier.
5 people.
Yeah, 5.
5 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, I don't know what...
You don't know what Tyrion was trying to do here? Because I don't.
But, like, what was she going to do? Like, he's right. It's like, I learned something today. All this back and forth doesn't do anyone any good.
He should have brought out Elmo.
Yeah.
That's who he should have brought out. They should have sent out Elmo to meet with Qyburn because Elmo talked her down.
But it's like, yeah, she wasn't going to, like... your sister. She wasn't going to give up. Maybe you could have gotten Missandei back. I think that was the main goal in that point in time.
Little last
for
ditch.
The immediate future.
I didn't think they were going to kill her. You know what? And it was like a Ned Stark moment where I thought what was going to happen, especially when she says, "Do you have any final words?"
Yeah.
I thought she was going to say Valar Morghulis. But when she said Dracarys, my stupid idiot brain was
you thought Drogon
Rhaegal's. No, Rhaegal's still alive.
Oh.
And he was, because they almost did you heard like a flap of the flag. So I thought one of the dragons was going to do something, but Rhaegal's obviously dead, and I'm an idiot. Yeah, Missandei, man.
Yeah, that's sad. I thought Grey Worm was going to do something too, like run after, kind of like, I don't know, just impulse, and he was going to die too. We thought one of them were going to die. Mostly Grey Worm was going to die in the long night.
Yeah.
But I think this is better because they let it simmer a little bit more. You felt like maybe they would, not better because obviously we don't want to see Missandei die, but as far as just... coming out of nowhere and just what it brings to the story, it kind of, you thought they might have been okay after that because none of them died, and then Missandei gets taken.
Is this the tipping point for Daenerys? Because I have to say, when they focused in on her face, it almost looked like she wanted to smile, in a sense of, I'm going to destroy this woman, that she has no idea what's coming for her. Mm-hmm. It's the madness smile. It's like a Joker smile.
Grey Worm too. Fucking, he's gonna come in. Fucking,
he's coming for blood.
Grey Worm Mountain. That could be a nice little battle there. If it's not the Hound, obviously, I think
it's a similar fighting style to Oberyn too, with the spears.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. If it's not the Hound, if something happens, then that would be an emotional clash between those two characters.
If Grey Worm survives the series, I'm gonna be so sad at this point because it's like he survived and his girl didn't. That's so upsetting.
Yeah,
it's a tragic end for that character.
I know, and just everything he like. Just think about his character as a whole, Grey Worm. I mean, I hate to put the focus on Grey Worm when Missandei did die, but a lot of his identity moving forward after Daenerys saved him was finding Missandei and her being to accept him the way he was. And to see that taken away right in front of his eyes, he might be like, all right, yeah, Daenerys, let's burn him.
Yeah.
He might be supporting him.
He's got a death wish on him, too, at this point. He's got some bloodlust, and for Daenerys, that's her best friend.
Yeah.
Missandei's been with her since season 3. She obviously made the decision to free her when she acquired the Unsullied, and she's been very loyal. One of the best interpreters I think you could find. It's like her and C-3PO are the best. She's just a good-hearted person, and to see that end for that character, you hate it because you see how she's transformed her life because of Daenerys, that she came from being a slave to being one of the most powerful advisors in the entire world. And to say goodbye to this character, like we said, we weren't anticipating this. It was a big shock,
and
it was a sad moment.
Yeah, and it's because it is such a good character, too. I think that puts the emphasis more on Cersei because, as we said, Tyrion was trying to appeal to humanity. And, you know, you could tell she was thinking. And if you watch, like, when you flesh out a villain for 8 seasons and you get to see their inner thinking, like their inner, who they really are, you know, obviously when she tells people that she's going to strangle them in her sleeps and all that, you know she's not a good person. But you see smaller, intimate moments where they do have some of that humanity that Tyrion was trying to appeal to. And this, I mean, just beheading one of the few mostly good characters, it's just, it nails it home. Cersei is the villain. She is evil, and I think she makes for a great antagonist for the final series. Or it could be Cersei could die next episode and Daenerys could be the antagonist, or
Imagine
Jon. Not necessarily an
they
antagonist.
did the triple antagonist flip on us. Night
not,
King, nope. Cersei, nope. Daenerys.
I don't think it would be, if they do that, I don't think it would be more of Daenerys as an antagonist, but more of just two protagonists pitted against each other.
That's
Jon
what the
and
show has
Daenerys.
always done well.
That would be interesting if Cersei goes next episode and the last episode is focused on the Dance
Civil
of Dragons.
War. Yeah, I think that would be a great ending for the show. And we only have 2 more episodes left, which is crazy to think. Game of Thrones, we only have 2 hours and 40 minutes. But next episode is going to be absolute bloodbath between Cersei and Daenerys.
No, I really like this episode. I think it got back to what I wanted to see, smaller, more personal, and we got to see back to the political maneuvering, especially with Varys and Tyrion. That's season 2, season 3, Varys and Tyrion right there. And they actually have something they believe in and want to fight for, and at the same time, they can see the other side. So just the dynamic that brings to the show is something I felt might have been missing the past season or 2. So I just can't wait to see how it plays out.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.